So today what we're going to be doing is focusing on some of the key topics like information technology and to your point big data as well and investment there. We'll look at GRI because it's mentioned there about GRI, corporate governance. That's another thing that is predominantly, there is a lot of focus there. I will also talk about investments and investment in another company, right? How do you value a company? I think that was a question that was asked. And let's see how, and we also are going to do some questions, right? So as promised yesterday, we said we're going to check your knowledge on the articles. So let's see how you guys have done. Let me go to the articles. I'm just opening up the articles area so that you and I both have that. We will be looking at the same thing. So tell me, one person, what is the most interesting article that you read there? Anything that kind of grabs your attention?
For me, Anju, it was the story about orcas and how
Sorry, what was
for
it?
them to the orcas or the dolphins or the penguins. It was interesting for me to know that when they stay in a confined kind of a setup, their life completely changes.
The animal cruelty, right? That article.
Yeah, correct.
Right. So let's start with that, because that will this will come in some variant or the other, right? Now, never mind me looking at it. Let me share the thing with you. Right. I think you can see my screen now.
Yes, Anju. But before we start, can I ask a small quick one, Anju?
Yeah, sure.
I thought to download this UK corporate governance code, and when I clicked on the link, the leases thing popped up. So probably I guess there's a mismatch on the.
Okay, I will look into it. What it is.
Yeah. Okay, Anju. Thank you.
Okay. Right. So just do remind me or put it in the chat box so that I can give you the correct document. So you mentioned about the marine parks, and what you just found out was even these animals do have feelings, right? Because we kind of think that the dogs, the cats, they are the ones with feelings. They will show us what they feel like. So we kind of take that fish, things in the fish in the water, they really don't have that much of feeling. We really don't associate that, isn't it? It's I think that's one of the biggest problems. And then to see what the researchers have found out, it's shocking to say, look at what's going on when families are torn apart. Countless marine animals have been taken from their rightful ocean homes and placed in tanks. The Tilikum okra, who lashed out and killed SeaWorld trainer Dawn and 2 other people, has been in a cramped tank for more than 30 years since he was taken away from his Icelandic family. It's very sad, isn't it? And we never ever think about these animals like this, and what they really do go through. So this is something that the animal rights movement, they have come up with these these things and brought it up to our attention, to the rest of the world, and say, this is something cruel that's happening, and we should not encourage it as individuals, as people, because they're asking us to boycott these kind of theme parks and things like that. Now, I want to get a view from someone else there, because in our park, this particular act, the marine parks are generating a lot of funds, right? So it is a dilemma for us. What should we be doing? What do you guys think? Any ideas?
I think
Yeah,
please.
go for
Go.
it.
We should, I think we should give the proper rotation basis that this animal will be brought into the viewing for this much period, and after that they will be given proper rest, and so accordingly proper rotation will be happening, and they will be rested.
Now let's look at, from what you said, it's a good idea, but let us look at it and see how practical it is. Right? These are massive animals, and we are going to bring them, we have to train them, right? We have to train them, and then what you're saying is put them back into the sea and bring them back again, right?
Yeah.
How would we do this in reality?
See, if you are having, say, for 2 or 3 animals, so you can bring 1 or 2 at a time, and after that send that one to for resting and bring another one. So accordingly rotation will be there. And
So what you're saying is bring another new one.
No, say
the same one.
2 or
How
3
can you bring
animals.
the same one? You're putting the fellow into the ocean, right? You need to train this animal for a long time, right? That is one.
Yeah.
Then you need to, what you're saying is, okay, after a while put him into the ocean. How are you going to bring this animal back? The same animal?
Not in the ocean. So there should be 2 places, one for resting and one for the showing the shows.
Right. So in this one, what they're saying is, do not even have them in confined areas. That's what they're saying. You need to put them back into where they belong. Right?
Okay.
That is the sea. Yeah, go on.
To my mind, Anju, if you go by what the animal lovers are saying,
Yes.
this part of our business is leading to a question mark on sustainability. Because definitely they cannot be kept in a confined kind of an area.
Correct.
If the animal lovers have their say. Because they entirely live upon, in fact, they communicate through echoes.
Yes.
And if they are confined into a small area, the
Yes.
echoes probably will make them mad. So that is what ultimately the animal lovers are saying. So sustainability is a question to me, unless
Yes.
anybody else has a different opinion.
Yeah, and you can see these poor government regulations. So, for example, now maybe in certain different parts of the world, I know in Australia, because I come from Australia, the regulations are extremely high, right? For a lot of things, it's very strict. Now, it's not so in certain countries, right? So even if Dream Park is planning on opening another park in Asia, right? And even though the regulations are not up to standard compared to the rest of the world, do you think they should open one of these parks? The government doesn't say anything. What are your thoughts on that?
I think based on the profitability and the return, these parks can be open, but I think at the same time we need to show that we do really take care of these animals by providing as much facilities to them which is near to their habitat. Obviously we cannot put them back in the sea
or make a C in our premises, but we can provide them with other things like proper food and proper timings and proper care of them, so that in a way we can sustain with these animals in a way which is acceptable to the animal rights group, as well as on an ethical basis it is in line with the requirements as well. Because
Okay.
the government is not saying anything, so this means that the local regulations for the animal rights are not that strong. But because it's now a global world, so a lot of things which go directly through social media,
Exactly.
very quickly. So we
Yes.
need to manage that part as well. So we cannot play very rough in that case. We need to provide as
Correct.
much good things as possible.
Yeah, you're so right. Because one of the things is, even though the government in that particular country says they are not that strict, okay, but because of social media and how information filters pretty fast, right? This is, even though we may think of opening a marine park here, this is a big question mark, I would say, because we're not a company that just operating in that Asian country. We are a company that's operating in different parts of the world, right? So what we do is actually it will showcase to our other stakeholders, even though we don't have, let's say we're gonna shrink our parks in other areas, that means the animal parks, but I'm just opening one up and just having it in Asia because nobody the regulations are very low and very poor. That also shows I'm quite a hypocrite, isn't it? Because I'm just looking at my bottom line and thinking, all right, I'm making good money in Asia, and especially with this animals, I'm making a lot of money. So let me close up my other operations where there's very strict governance in these particular countries. Let me open it up in this other country in Asia, but it doesn't showcase that I'm a very good corporate citizen, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, you need to provide your reporting as one company, and when you report, especially your GRI, it will showcase what activities you do and the many layers to this particular company. Profitability is one aspect of it, but how do you gain profitability is another question. Any other questions? Any other thoughts on this? So here you go. What they're saying, the animal rights groups saying, please don't visit marine parks, zoos, or aquariums that keep ocean animals in captivity. Encourage your local aquarium to create more space for rehabilitating and releasing injured wildlife by refusing to breed or bring in any more animals. All right. So there was just this morning, there was a talk on the radio about some of the animals that were kept captive, the lions and the bears in South America, were getting released to South African jungles, right? So that was creating a big stir, and they were like so happy to report this and saying, but the animals were in a very poor condition, right? So the animals are kept for our amusement, but what everyone else is saying, include the animal groups, is saying, what provides amusement to us is they are suffering, right? So it is not a good thing for you to go and watch these circuses or theme parks, so to speak. You should boycott, right? Now let me take another changes in SeaWorld. Yeah, this article says some really good points as well. two radical changes that could be coming to SeaWorld Orlando, right? Did anybody read this? This is very much linked to what we are, where we are, right? So earlier this week, SeaWorld released its financial results for the first quarter, right? On the surface, things seem to be heading a positive direction, right? Manby revealed the attendance at SeaWorld parks were up by 5.6%. However, through the boosted attendance, it is certainly a good sign. Manby made several statements during an earnings call that seem to indicate that big changes are on the way to SeaWorld parks. Very much in line with what we have as well, right? Though Manby stopped short of confirming either of these changes, we feel confident that these rumored developments are at least being considered at a very high level based on comments from Manby himself. So things are going to change. Could SeaWorld Orlando Blue World be canned? Right? Will they can that? Through SeaWorld announcements, it's Blue World, right? In Orlando, recent comments suggested that Manby might not be convinced that this new project, that is, which will increase the size of killer whale tanks, will be enough to get guests back into parks again. When asked about the project's development, Manby was cagey, saying that while the San Diego project is still on track to open in 2018, SeaWorld may adapt an approach looking forward. Manby then said SeaWorld will learn from the San Diego project, and those learnings will be taken as we took at the other projects moving forward. So what do you think may happen? Now, if we look at this, and how can we relate this to our case study? What do you guys think?
Link, because we are opening up the park in in Far East.
Yes.
So which is quite similar to the one which is opening up in Orlando.
Correct.
So yeah, and then we are also planning to have this seats, these fishes and these things there, aquarium,
yes,
like the Blue World there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so these are the similarities, and these are the almost the similar issues which we might face. We see here, we might face there as well.
Right. So a couple of things here. You can talk about, this is a real world thing. You can talk about SeaWorld Orlando, right? The Blue World. You can remember that name and you can quote it. One. The second thing is, now they're talking about change in direction, right? So what does it mean? Two things can happen. One thing is a delay, okay? And another thing would be that I'm not going to have a SeaWorld, I'm going to have something else, right? A new theme park, right? Which will lead to a delay. What are your views on this? Anybody?
Leading to delay can affect your from the financial perspective as well. Especially that if you have taken out any financing arrangement for the development of the new park.
Yes.
And if it is delayed, so then this means that your expected cash flows are going to be delayed.
Yes.
And then you have, so when it's going to be delayed, there's going to be a problem with your cash flows and liquidity, because you have to make the repayments on as per the schedule, but then your income generating cash flows are not coming, but your outflows are still there. So this can have an impact overall on the liquidity, and then from the reputational point of view, the shareholders will lose a bit of their faith on the management and the board of directors, that they're not meeting their set agendas which they have told the shareholders. And so they might start, I guess it's a chain reaction, so that some of them might start selling the shares as such, and the share price might come down as well as a result of that. So
Right.
if things
Okay.
go on a negative
So
way.
how would you tackle like a situation like this? What would you do? And let's say one morning the finance director comes to you and says, guess what, I've had a discussion with the CEO, and this is what he had to say, that he is considering and looking at all what's going on around the environment regards to keeping these animals. We are really looking at some other, actually closing this down, or but that will cause a delay, and we're thinking of something new. And they will ask you, the director will ask you, can you please give me your comments and your thoughts? How would you approach that? Give me the structure. How would you approach that?
I think in this scenario, we can structure the answer in the way that we need to, first of all, because this is a proposal from the CEO, so we need to highlight the positive side as well as the negative sides of this decision, and then we have to highlight the communication with the stakeholders who are involved in the process, and then how we are going to communicate the change if that is going to happen. And then maybe at the end we should in the end give some sort of recommendation based on whether we are going to support it or we are going to oppose it, depending upon the facts which are given there.
Right, but I want from another person, thank you, Usman, I want from another person how you would structure this answer. And this is a very possible question, right? It's happened in real life, and we are going to start a park in Asia. So, very possible question. Any other views?
In fact, I think first of all we need to identify the stakeholders who needs to be informed. I think Mandlow's metrics will be a good way to
Very good.
Good way to start identifying
Yes.
the stakeholders. And then the second thing would be to identify what are the possible risks in terms of if we delay the project and delay the new project, and how are we going to diversify our revenue if the expected cash flows from the SeaWorld is not coming.
Yes.
So that is another thing. The third thing would be how do we structure the communication to the first of all to the stakeholders, second to the employees, and also to the prospective customers on how are we going about the change in terms of creating the new experience and creating the new experience.
So a couple of things is you will inform. So the stakeholders include the shareholders, your employees, your banks, right? The governments, anybody who is interested in you it would be your stakeholders. And then you will because the shareholders are going to get impacted straight away, right?
Yeah.
Because they have put in money into this, and now, well, maybe you're not going to give them dividend, maybe there's some delay in the dividends, so they are anticipating all kinds of things when there is a delay in the park opening. Another one would be your government and your of course the government is interested as well to see, you said you're going to do this, but now you're not, it's impacting your jobs, the jobs that you're going to create, and so on. So that's a bit of a problem as well, right? And it's important that you identify your key stakeholders and send that message across. And you can see even the media. So the media is also need to be informed. Now, one of the other things would be, why are you delaying is the question, right? Now, the why of it may be due to you changing the direction of basically moving away from building a marine park altogether. So that can create a lot of positive media. It depends how you actually communicate this to the stakeholders, right? All stakeholders. And it could have a very positive effect on you, on your company and the share price, right? Because if the media is brought on board, stating the reasons behind it, and this is the reason that you're doing, and also include the animal rights and saying, we adhere to this, we recognize that it's not the best thing to do, so no parks in future would we include these animals, right? And that will bring a really, really positive story. So if, depending on how the story is told, the shareholders might be very positive towards you, okay? They may even forego the dividends because the share price would have gone up, because they're looking at saying, right, okay, they are doing something good. But then again, what are you going to be building instead of the marine park, right? There might be something else that you're thinking of as well, which is important. You see what sort of a thing that you're going to be building and how you're going to generate revenue. So that's one aspect. Now here, what they're saying is, not only would putting this project on hold save SeaWorld some much needed capital in the short term, but either pause or cancelling Blue World could help the park instead focus at creating new experiences, right? And help recapture guest attention, which brings us to our next big change. Now, what's that? What's the next big change? A renewed focus on rides over animal attractions, right? You're looking at renewed focus on the rides. And what they're saying is, Mamby went on to say that he believes SeaWorld has lost market share against these parks because SeaWorld hasn't had a compelling product. Now, what about our product? What do you guys have to say about our product? Is it compelling? Is it fantastic? What do you guys think?
Product is good in the way it's already an established product, and people, as per the record, as per the case study which we read, people are coming from different parts of the world to our location in the UK and Europe to enjoy it. So it's a product which has a global clientele. So people, like, it's going to be opened in, even if our plans change, we're going to open something else there, still people will have something quite similar to what we have. So yeah, people.
So how would you make it interesting for, let's say I've had this rides for, like, I've opened the park for 15 years, I've had the same ride, okay? How can I make things interesting for them? How can I have repeat customers coming in?
I think in that regard we need to do a bit of a research through having some feedback service with the customers. Maybe we can hire some sort of a company who are dealing with these social feedbacks and what do they call it, that particular thing, like they get the feedback from different people and do a survey of these things. So that is one way of doing it. Other way will be like, we don't have an sort of a website, or an IT infrastructure is not very strong currently, so in that case we cannot do it directly. So we need platforms like maybe Facebook or Twitter or some other advertising tool, just to get the feedback of the people and what their preferences are. Like, there are different companies who are providing big data analysis, so they can provide us with using the big data, they can provide us with the some sort of a direction of what kind of rides people are looking for,
right?
And benchmark. And one thing that comes to mind is also the benchmarking. We might do our benchmarking externally with the competitor or maybe the industry leader, so that we can see what exactly they are doing with respect to their rides and the updates to that ride, because we ourselves are not updating it. So
yeah,
we can do something like that.
Yeah, because we have had these rides from 1962, and maybe we've changed certain things, and I don't see that they have. It doesn't say anywhere that they have done some major changes. Maybe they've had similar kind of rides, but then improved a little bit as they went along, and that innovation part of it. I don't see it there. And even here, what they're saying is they are also looking, Manby is looking for a compelling product, right? Something very different. Now, if I move to another article, because all of them talk about these killer whales and the sea mammals, right? So you can see there is a definite theme. Now this was on the 2nd of May 2016, very, very recent, okay, where again Manby talks about they are putting a stop to these animals, using these animals. So that's what so definitely we need to, we can see this kind of question coming through, something related to animals, and it may be we have to close this product that we are selling. We have to close this theme park. Maybe that's one of the things that we might be doing. And what would it mean if I'm trying to close it, right? So if I'm closing something, what are the things that we need to consider? So some of the key things, model that you will use would be, again, SAF as model, right? Because when you're closing it, you need to look at a lot of the other areas. You will also look at the risks. Of course, somebody mentioned the risks, and also the stakeholders, right? How that they will get impacted, and how the communication, what is the communication strategy that you need to adapt. And the other aspect you may need to consider is the people involved. So if we are closing down a particular park, there will be a lot of people involved that might get impacted. How would you manage that? Okay, so that's another area that you need to consider. Well, would we be able to use these people into something else that we are planning on doing, right? Something with rides, something with water rides, something in that line of thought, or something completely different where we have to reskill these people. Okay, these are some thoughts that comes my way, because it seems like the current scenario, the environment is such, people are closing down these marine parks. Any other views? Another strategy that they're talking about, Manby's growth strategy, also includes building hotels near the company's parks and creating attractions that showcase the orcas and the sea creatures, not performers, right? So
Anju,
yes.
yeah, one more thing that was mentioned in the communication was regarding creating or catering to a set of customers that is for whom probably the Disney World and the Universal Studios theme parks are not affordable.
Correct.
So creating creating a holiday on a budget.
Correct.
Or something of that sort.
Yes.
Into a different set of customers.
Yes, exactly. And we have quite a bit in that segment as well, right? Because what we are looking at is the cost of Disney is really expensive, actually, if you look at it. But what they're saying is, in this case, Manby says, what they offer is something very affordable, right, to any customer. So you're targeting that particular segment. You're not going into the Disney side. So if you look at here, what it's saying is Manby acknowledges competing will be tough, particularly in Orlando, but he sees an opportunity to keep his park price lower than the others, creating an alternative for families on a budget, right? SeaWorld, which owns 11 parks overall, was offering a single day ticket at $69, an annual pass good for its own 2 Orlando resorts at $168. At Disney's Magic Kingdom in Orlando, the least expensive single day ticket is $97 and the annual pass is $749. That's very expensive, right? Very, very expensive for a normal family to actually go there several times and enjoy it. So you can see a definite change in scene that's happening. Okay, any questions on that?
question. If we are quoting like from the pricing point of view, if we say in our answer that okay, that we should follow a policy of being the cost leader, so that we are, where our costs are low and we can attract such families who cannot afford Disney and other higher priced ones. So should we, in the answer from the exam point of view, let's say I want to quote this, but I don't remember which theory it relates to. So will it be fine to quote, or should I give a sort of,
No,
should
that's
say that according to
fine.
this? No?
If you don't
Okay.
remember the name of the theory, that's fine, right? But you're
Okay.
providing the logic behind it. But what is your logic? What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that what we were just looking at, that some of the families could not afford because the prices are high for other parks like Disney,
Correct.
and so we can underprice and we can have a lower ticket prices so that people who cannot afford the expensive ones can become our customers. So sort of we become a cost leader in our segment.
What
So,
what about others? What are their thoughts? Yemen, you've been awfully silent. Any thoughts from you? So let's see. Amit, anything from you?
Usman, I missed the line of thought in the question. If you could please repeat it again.
Right, okay. So what I'm saying is, well, the two, there's Disney, who is priced at a very 700 or so a yearly ticket, whereas our in this case Orlando, it's only 169, right, in this particular park, SeaWorld. So now what we are suggesting is we also adapt that strategy to say we are not going to be competing in the high-end market, but we are competing in that affordable market, right? In order to do that, do you agree with that strategy? What are your views on that?
In my mind, Anju, in that case, the business model needs to be completely changed. We have to look at the entire set of operational costs. That would require a redesign. The infrastructure costs need a change. So the entire concept goes for a change. So
But
that,
it depends.
will
It
not be a
depends.
small
Sorry,
exercise.
it depends on, because we have not been given all that information already. Okay, we have not been given that information to say, whether we are operating in the high-end market. But I think from a tickets perspective, they have given, so it doesn't seem like they are at the high-end market, right? What we need to look at is, well, with the current market segment and the operational costs, what is the kind of break even, right? What are the other revenue generating streams that we've got? Yeah. There might be other streams that we have not tapped into, like merchandising, etc., food, right? So these are the areas that we can think of, because even if you operate, it's like the budget airlines, right? Even if you operate in the budget airline, there is a lot of opportunity to make money. There's a huge amount of opportunity to make money. Okay, so let us go into another area, which is big data. So did anybody read this article?
Yes, and I went through the YouTube clipping as well.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Okay, so what did you give us a synopsis of what you understood?
In fact saw it for the first time. It was a surprising element for me as well. I never knew that IT can be used to track customer behavior and in fact help the customer to choose or put themselves ahead in the queue, for example, or order for food while they are experiencing a particular ride. So in fact, ultimately, this collection of entire data can help the company to do the survey itself by its own data rather than outsourcing it to somebody else.
Correct. So and basically there's a lot of information that I will come to big data in a while. I just want to find out whether you guys read this particular article, and then the other one.
But the only ethical issue, I'm sorry, Anju, the only other ethical issue that came into my mind was that the company is collecting a lot of personal stuff.
Exactly.
So just in case if it gets into what do you call that as
wrong
hands.
Yes.
How exactly will it address that situation?
Correct. So there is, you saw big data is that investment was not a small amount, right? Said costed around 800 million, right? This is not small money. Yeah. So this is a big project, and basically the organization that's implementing this, you need to have two things. The organization, like let's say Disney, has to have top-down commitment from all the employees, right? And they should be in a mature stage to kind of embrace this. Plus, if we look at who are we going to partner with, because remember, Disney is not the one that will be basically going and implementing this, right? It will be another company that will be implementing. So it is really important you choose your vendor correctly, right? If you do not choose your vendor correctly, it's nothing to do with the product, it will fail. So that's another important aspect that you need to remember. Okay, and just because you implement this tool does not mean anything if the people using the tool does not know how to extract the information and the insight. Okay, so if you don't know how to read the data, the tool is not going to give you anything extra. So 800 million has gone down the, it's going in water basically. Like, you can't really use this information. It's not information, it's just data, and you're not able to implement anything on this using this, because it needs creativity, right? Now to the other point that you mentioned, it's very relevant. If you remember, a couple of months ago there was a big controversy. I wouldn't name the company because it's a bit dodgy. A lot of people, their information got out, right? People who have subscribed to this company, and it was a very embarrassing thing for the people involved. Okay, there were people from very senior people from governments, from different parts of the and very senior people from organizations. All right. Now, how do you secure people's data? It includes credit cards. There's a big, there's a lot of security revolving around credit cards, how to keep this information secure. And there are regular audits taking place as well. And the companies, if they don't adhere to PCI DSS, they will be fined. But also other information, personal data, you need to keep it quite secure. So it's one thing to actually get this information from people, but also you need to assure people that this information is kept secured, right? And for that, that's also an investment that you need to consider. That is definitely an operational cost that you need to consider, right? Any more questions on this big data? Do people understand what big data means? Anybody who does not understand, just ask the question, because a lot of people, they don't. They get very confused with this information. There was one question people were asking me, what is ERP and what is big data? Isn't it the same thing? What do you guys think?
See, ERP is you cannot compare ERP with big data. ERP is which is enterprise resources planning, which can be used for commercial or business organization. For the it's a information system, you can say, which is mainly it's an information system which is given the access to the users and the ultimate person who is accessing the data, either it is the supplier or debtors, who is having what kind of information requirement, and that kind of sort is used for the ERP purposes. And what you are telling in this big data, I can see it's a totally different thing, which is linked to from real life viewing till the accumulation of data and information system.
Right. Okay. So actually, ERP would be part of your big data, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So big data is basically internal information as well as external information that we gather, and we have them in big in data warehouses, and then from that we analyze this data, and we're able to kind of see what kind of information we can derive. Now, when it comes to Disney, how they do it, one of the ways they do it is they look at, where are the people, right? Where are they gathering? Where do we get most amount of people? Because what they do is they send their food carts and also the merchandise mobile vans to where the people are. How smart is that? Because then you when you're standing in a crowd just waiting for a ride or something, you kind of if there is some food or merchandise, you want another distraction, right? So you're bored, and suddenly this thing is sent to you, and then you just impulse buying, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you cannot say you are going with your kids or your family, so
Yes.
they will demand that, okay, you have to buy for them. You cannot.
No choice, right?
No choice.
Yes, no choice with kids, right? So automatically, this food arrives, all kinds of little toys come up, and then you need to give them these things, right? You need to buy them. So
Exactly.
yeah, so again, this is a very intelligent way of extracting information, and on the spot they get results, right? On the spot. So very, very good way of using big data. We're nearly coming to 1 hour now with our articles. What I want to do at this time is to give you a question, right? So let me stop here. I'm stopping sharing it. I'm looking for a question now, and let me look at some of the questions that are there. One second. There was a question on big data that I'm quite interested to give you. Okay, Actually, this is not on big data. I will get that question on big data, but this is another interesting one which gives you gets you thinking. If you can look into the question number 11, please. Can you all access the Dropbox?
Yeah, I can access.
Right. Okay. Question number 11.
You are talking about from Cynthia Goldstein to subject sponsorship renewal and raising funds.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Sponsorship renewal and raising funds. So if somebody can't access it, do let me know. I'll give you 10 minutes to finish this answer plan. Okay? Just 10 minutes from now. So let's start. I think time's up. Can anyone share? I will look at one person's answer. Can anyone share your answer? Everyone is very silent. Usman, you finished?
No, not actually. I was just going through
The
it,
10 minutes
so,
just disappears, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
This is one time where 3 hours seems like, 5 minutes, and it's like you wonder what's happened. I just started the exam, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is where the reason I'm giving you guys 10 minutes is this is a kind of answer planning. You need to read it very quickly and you put under pressure. Then I come in and so that you say, right, you should have had something written by now.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I have the thought in mind now. Actually, I was just thinking if I was looking at the right question, because the one which I went through was the sponsorship renewal and raising funds. So I just went through it. So it was not relating to the big data.
No,
was for
it
the
was not.
science
That's what I
thing.
told you. It's not. It's not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then I've
yeah.
gone through it. I mean, I've not written anything, to be honest.
Okay, let
But
me
just
ask someone else.
yeah.
Okay. Has anybody else started writing and anyone wants to share?
Usman works on it. Anju, can I share my thoughts on this one?
Yes, definitely, Amit.
Okay. No, probably 2-3 thoughts that came into my mind was that probably a besto analysis is one that I can use here and go through each one of the proposals that we've received. And like, for example, easy money is probably I would like to reject outright because of least WACC and lowest returns. And also they had strings attached to the proposal, which is that not to deal with other competitors of theirs. TFC Chicken probably I would reject second because they have strings attached to their proposal as well. And customer preferences may get compromised because customer for us is this whole thing. And if the customer is given only one option to choose, then probably the customer may not like. Even though the revenue in the case of TFC Chicken is the highest, I would tend to reject their offer and go with the offer of the third one, which is this water company, which had nothing attached as far as their offer was concerned as strings.
Right.
And while explaining all this, I would use best of analysis, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So I'm just going to very quickly look at what they're looking for, right? So how many questions are there in this one question? So she's saying, I would like you to comment on whether you feel the proposals are valid prior to meeting this afternoon, right? Are the proposals valid, right? So is that the only thing she's asking? Is that the only thing?
Also asking about the revenue generation.
Also, I would like to know, so that is the key, right? You need to say, what is this person asking? The first one.
No,
Proposals.
in fact, they are looking for raising additional finance also. She's
Yes.
also checking whether we
Additional
can have
finance.
alternate sources of raising finance.
Okay, so what if I was you, I'm going to highlight these things because you need to answer to the questions given. They're not giving you, if you can see, they're not saying question A, answer this, question B is this, question C is this. In one big paragraph or multiple paragraph scenario, they're giving you things and you need to extract it, right? So in this one question now I have got two. What else? So she's saying an analysis of all three offers independently, including the implications of financial return and the cash flow impact.
And also the non-financial points as well.
Exactly. So in the proposal, state the financial and non-financial.
Yeah, especially in this case, I think for the TFC chicken, there is a negative news which has come out in the press or in the media.
Correct.
Regarding, yeah.
Yes. Now the thing is, there are certain obvious ones, right? There are obvious ones. But the examiner is looking at how you're going to structure your answer. Right? Examiner is looking at, well, is this person answering the questions that I have stated? Because a lot of the time the examiner is complaining and in the report is stated the students don't answer to the question, right? That is a big problem. So how do I give marks? Okay, now in this one it says very clearly, analysis on all three offers independently, including the implications of financial return and the cash flow impact across all three offers. Non-financial points should also be raised. And justification, right? Furthermore, if you could provide me with a brief breakdown, oh gosh, how many things do I have to do, right? Too many things in 1 hour, right? So saying, furthermore, if you could provide me with a brief breakdown of different types of debt and equity, okay, debt and equity, finance, and briefly describing any other ways we could finance the change. Could you also provide me with some info on the effect of debt and equity and both gearing and WACC and what this might mean to Dream Park? Right? There's about 4 or 5 things here, correct? Now, what you might do is to get your thoughts right, immediately put these, what are they asking first? Because if you just go at a tangent and talk about, no, I will not take this option, I will take this option, because there are certain obvious ones. But the examiner is trying to trick you here, right? To say, okay, you go down that road, but I'm going to catch you because there are so many, about 4 or 5 things I've asked you. You answered only one area of one thing that I'm asking you. Yeah? So this is what it's saying. Now, luxury water, we got easy money, and then we've got the chicken. So it is obvious that the chicken, we will not go for it, and we can give the reasoning behind it. Then we've got the others, right? So you need to think a bit strategically here, okay? Because with the options, 100% of the students, remember, they will choose the correct option, right? They will not go for the chicken. They will all go for Tektronix. But how can you differentiate yourself? This is the question here, okay? Because everyone will go for this Tektronix, but they would have not answered the things that this person is asking you to clarify. Even some of you immediately went and jumped into the options without that structure, right? That is the important thing. You need to structure. Any questions? Did anybody see these other questions in this big one question? Did anyone else see it?
Yeah.
One thing which is there for the ethical point of view, because our parks have a strategy or a policy to not allow alcohol, being the family parks there.
Correct.
And this tectonic is being used for spirits. Basically, it's a tonic to be used with the spirits. So it's not in line with our corporate values as such.
So, luxury
Yep.
tonic water brand, which has seen worldwide growth over the last few years, it prides itself on being an upmarket alternative to cheap tonic waters and is aimed exclusively as a mixer to be used alongside premium spirits. That's what they're saying, right? Now, easy money is now. Yes, we do not have spirits, right? That's given, but they're asking whether we could. They're saying we will advertise, right? And then they're also saying. So you're right in that. So there are financial, non-financial factors to be considered. Now, the first thing what we did here was to see what are the questions asked. The second thing that we will be doing is looking at the options using what models. What models would we use in this case?
Self-interest, yeah.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Self-interest.
Yes, we will look at the SAFS model because it's kind of very easy to work with. It will give you a good structure, right? And then we what else would we look at? Any other things? Because they're also asking further, can you provide a brief breakdown of different types of debt and equity finance and briefly describe any other ways we could finance the change, right? Because they're looking for change and how can we finance the change. And then you're looking at matching concepts, right? For your in whatever that you're trying to do. Okay, so what are they trying to do? So it is, did you find this question easy or difficult or confusing? Any ideas? Any thoughts on that?
Yes, actually, I see that.
I think the question is in a way is fine. It has quite a few requirements. The area which can be a bit tricky is to how to structure it, to be honest.
Correct.
Like I think all of us have the knowledge and have this idea of the options and the other financing arrangements. We can give information definitely in the answer, but then to structure it in a way which gives us the maximum marks, that is where I think at least I am lacking a bit.
Yes, because suddenly you have, guys, you see there's so much words, right? I mean, if you look at this question, say, geez, what is it? What do they want? Right? So much of words, so many paragraphs. First thing, find out what are they asking, right? That is really important. There will be questions in this one question, so please clearly type what they're asking, right? Type it in your answer, right? So this is one question, this is a second question they're asking, because then you can, as you go along, you will have your unseen material as well, and you'll be able to start thinking of answers. And then you said, okay, this is the structure. Is first the questions, what are they asking? The second one is you're looking at what are the models that you can use, but also you look at our 4 competencies, right? 4 competencies, and including the ethics, right? How all of these work together. So where, put those things alongside so that always you can refer and structure your answer and write it properly. You're absolutely right. People don't fail because they don't know the stuff. They fail because they've not provided the answer in a proper structure, right? The examiner is looking at you to provide justification, right? So for example, if you only looked at the proposals and provided financial, non-finance, you didn't talk about the additional financing stuff, you didn't talk about debt finance, debt and equity finance, none of those you touched, you can see what would have happened to you, right? So you come out of the exam thinking, oh yeah, I answered. You ask somebody else as well, what's the proposal? You said, yeah, I chose this proposal. And like I said, 90% of the people would have chosen the same proposal, right? But the examiner will fail you because you have not provided that structure, not thought of all the areas that the examiner wanted you to think about, and also didn't provide a proper justification. Okay? Is that clear how to structure your answer now? Yeah? So what we will do is go into question 9. Right, this is the one on big data. Let me look at that. No, this actually you have to look at your in the Dropbox there is question 9. Let me look at that. So it talks about customer relationship management, right? So first and foremost, let me give you 10 minutes to go through this question, and then what I want from you is to provide me with the number of questions that they're asking from you. Okay, first that, and then let me know what you think, how you're going to approach it, right? What models that you will use. Okay, and I will give you a clue. You need to talk about if they give numbers like this, you need to put some thought into that as well. Okay, and write something about it. They won't just give you numbers and for you not to comment on it. Shall we start? So who will go first? How about you, Mohammed?
Yeah, I haven't finished yet, but
That's fine. We can write something. Yeah, we can see what you've written. If you can share the screen with us. Thank you.
Yeah, but actually, I haven't finished my read, but
Okay,
just
no,
want to
that's fine.
give
That's
my
fine.
thoughts. The CRM system is very important for the company like Dream Park because it deals with thousands of customers,
Right.
and that system is very important for it. I will divide my answer into two main points. The first one is the proposal evaluation from financial and the non-financial perspective,
Yes.
and the next question, which is the next steps. From financial perspective, I see, yeah, it is giving us positive net present value, but it's like a break even because net present value it's very small amount and it's like a break even. That's why the proposal is very sensitive. If you have any issue in calculations or any risk in our assumptions, it would be a big financial risk. That's why I see it's a little bit risky from financial perspective. And the next step is sorry, before the next step we have to use the SF SAPS model,
Yes.
because this is a kind of project. We have to check if this project is in line with our strategy or not. Then getting the buy-in, from our from all stakeholders like our shareholders, the board, the employees, and all the type of stakeholders. Then feasibility, which is a financial study, and I see it's like a break even. This is for and for the next steps, we have to apply the change management model, because we have to inform our employees that we are going to implement the CRM system. And I think we have to use the normal change management steps.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lewin's change management steps. Anybody else? Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you. Anyone else who's written anything that would like to share? Anything extra? You guys are awfully quiet, I must say. Murali, you've been awfully quiet today. Too many questions.
Yeah, Anju, regarding the CRM proposal, here, as I asked in the first instance, can we quote the example of Disney regarding
Yes.
the amount that they have spent
Yeah, you
and
can, of
how
course.
they have been?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. How they have been able to make benefits out of spending on CRM?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Then.
So let me, I think what's happening is we're a bit struggling as to what to put in an answer plan. Am I right or wrong?
And you're perfectly right.
Right. Okay, let me do something about that. Now, right, let me save something and get back to you. Let us do this thing together. Right. Now I'm gonna share my screen with you and you're gonna contribute to my answer. Right. Now you can see my paper, right? Okay, so the first thing, if I'm sitting for the exam, which I'm not, and thankfully, would be to say what are the questions they're asking. So tell me, what is the question they're asking? How many questions are there? Amit?
Couple of them. They are first asking about the thought on the proposal for going for all the elements, which is the sales, marketing, and support, which will cost about 15 odd million pounds, and the recommendation.
Right. So what's he asking? Let me see. Now, how would I read that? Marketing is one of the biggest risk facing companies, fluctuating demand. He's talking about CRM. Jean explained that his investigating provides many components. Okay, fine. He's given financial information, non-financial information. Okay, then we look at the costing. They've given all that. That's fine. If I could have your thoughts on this proposal and your recommendations on how to proceed in the next 60 minutes, right? So all what they have given, she wants you to kind of summarize and give your thoughts, correct? So, okay, that's an easy one because I don't have questions within one question. I don't have so many questions, unlike the previous one. Okay, so that I'm clear. Now, then, what are the key things that you think that we need to write here? Right now, I need to say consider proposal is evaluate the proposal. Let me say that, evaluate the proposal. Now, what are my competencies I'm thinking about? Technical, people, leadership, what else? Business, and we have the ethical thing, right? Ethics. That's one. Okay, now I'm just writing it down so that I will not forget it. This is what I'm trying to do. What are the proposals? What is he going to? What has he given me? I have got NPV calculation, right? So I have to critique on that. What are they asking? What else is there that I need to bring into my answer? Now, evaluate the proposal. Tell me about this proposal. Anyone? Amit?
How are we going to manage the change?
Okay, one thing is change management. What else?
All the three elements of the CRM, which is the sales, marketing, and support together.
Sales, marketing, and support functions, right? We are saying modules to bring them. Yeah, that's one.
And at the cost of implementation.
Okay. They also talk about off-the-shelf package, right? So let me go from one paragraph to the other now very quickly. Customers expect new experience and different customer expectation. He suggests it could achieve by dealing with okay. So they said Foresight Limited provide a good quality system which should be considered for implementation here. So one thing they're talking about is Foresight, okay? Critique, because how do we know? We just mentioned, how do we know how good this Foresight is? We need to kind of evaluate from both financial and business right, your view. Review the project from both financial and business perspective and make recommendations, right? Financial and business, okay, and recommend. Then we look at the next paragraph. What can you get from this paragraph? What is the key thing that you can get? So Foresight Sales provides sales professionals with critical customer information and tools such as content management, calendaring to enable them to make most of their time, right? They also do cross promotion. All three packages integrate so that, for example, after sales service personnel have sufficient information about the products customers to enable them to suggest further products and customers and sales information. Okay, right, that's about the marketing side of it. Now the basic data warehousing facility costs 3 million, and the three packages run on this. Each package could cost Dream Park further 5 million, but if you were to take all three, it's 12 million, right? Would making the whole system 15. Training, including making the whole system, 15 million. Training include disruption during the period, right? It's estimated at around 20 hours per person, 5,000 people affected, right? And they're also talking about Foresight claim that their experience that we will achieve increased revenue of 1.6, right? So they're saying increase in revenue to be, we're not sure, and the cost savings of 2.2. Okay, and these savings increase the same amount in each of the next 2 years. So for example, revenue savings is 3.2. okay, now cost of capital, and how have they calculated a project like this is 10%. Jean has hinted to me that he's skeptical of their overall claim, so he is not very convinced about this increase in revenue and cost savings, right? He also notes that cultural factors are just as important as the financial impact, with the systems starting to create a change in the mindset towards truly focused customer-led organization, right? Now, what is this? Cheapest option for total system compared with 18 million for sum of parts payable throughout the year, so assume all paid at the year end. Okay, 20 hours per person. These are the things they have, they've already told us. Now we have to evaluate it from, see, I very quickly put down these things, the important points. It didn't take me 10 minutes, right? And I was talking to you, so therefore would have taken more than 10 minutes. But for me to quickly put these things, it will not take you more than 10 minutes, right? And then you have to talk about what are the models you will be talking about, right? SAF-S. Then you will talk about Mandelo, right? Then Lewin's change management, right? So these are some of the three things. And then of course critique the NPV, right? Critique the NPV. Now, is that clear? Does it make sense to you how to go about this? Now this is just the structure, and this is what I wanted from you when I told you, prepare a structure, find out what the questions are and prepare a structure. This is what you're looking, so that when you're actually starting to write the answer in the next 50 minutes, you will make sure to address each one of these. You will not miss it, because generally what happens is our thoughts are somewhere, like you're writing about some change management, you've forgotten completely to write about the NPV and critique about it, right? And they are expecting you to critique. Any questions here?
Yeah, during the exam writing,
Right.
should I put this information in the white paper outside or on the original screen, the exam screen?
You can put either. You can even put it on the scratch paper. You have a paper, right? I mean, there's something called a scratch paper that's there where you can keep it. It's in the computer itself or in the answer, because you can copy and paste certain things. And then either whichever way, a very quick one. You need to just jot down these points, right? That is the important thing. Any questions? Any other questions?
Quite useful now.
Yes.
The way you have put it, really, it has really helped
Yes.
to put together the thoughts. Just one thing, and at the end, we're gonna give a recommendation as well, right,
Yes.
for everything.
So what
Okay.
you will do is you have to write a recommendation because you're a strategic finance manager, a management accountant. So they are expecting you to provide a recommendation.
Okay, fair enough. Yep.
Yeah. So you need to provide that recommendation. Now, since we know how to write our answer, let's go to another question very quickly, right? I'm gonna take a little bit of time today, much more than your 2.5 hours, right? So let me choose another interesting question for you. Oh yes, this is a good one. Yes, I think some of the students have done this with me before, but never mind. This is question 7. Now let us do this again together, right? Let's see what you will tell me. What are the questions here?
What is the question number?
Question number 7, but you can see my screen as well, right? It's question number 7. So first thing I want you to tell me is how many questions are there. Let me start typing and you have to tell me the question. So if you guys can please open this question number 7 while I go on writing. So you tell me what I should write. Yep.
First thing is the evaluation of this new marketing arrangement with the pops, with this teenage pop star Billy
Evaluation of new marketing.
Brown.
Okay.
New marketing, yeah.
Proposal. Okay.
Yep. Then from both the financial aspect as well as from the
Finance,
the
non-finance.
business and finance, you can say.
Yeah. What else?
To pay and when?
Sorry?
How much to pay to the pop star and when?
How much to pay?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Anju, the ethical risks on being associated with the teenage.
Ethical risks. What questions are they asking you directly? They're saying they're asking you certain questions, right?
Yeah, they're also asking about the sensitivity factors which are involved in this proposal. So we need to identify from the financial point of view what will be those sensitivity factors which will affect our overall evaluation.
If I can spell
Like
sensitivity.
say like maybe from the revenue stream and other things, how people cater to this new arrangement, maybe.
So I'm asking, give me the questions that they're asking.
Okay.
Just give me the questions they're asking.
Okay,
First, I need to know that. Don't think of anything else but what the questions they're asking. So, let me look at it now. Business risk. Okay. Yesterday I attended a meeting with head of marketing. He wants us to he wants my input on a proposal to sign a contract with Billy Brown, a teenage pop star, to help promote Dream Park brand. Right? The marketing directors have requested me to prepare a detailed evaluation for this proposal for board's consideration. Some relevant information is detailed below. Using this information, please can you email with your evaluation of the financial aspects of this proposal. So, evaluation of financial aspects, right? Now, I also need your thoughts on the level of fees. And the timing of the payment. What fees you should consider we should pay and when, as well as what fees you should consider, what fees to consider, and to pay him at what time. Okay. Another area I want your thoughts on concern what factors should affect the sensitivity of the financial proposal. Right? Sensitivity of the financial proposal. I'm also worried about dealing with famous stars, and I would like your thoughts on the like business and ethical risks, right? Business and ethical risks. Right. Nothing much. Only about 5 areas, right? 6 areas that I need to think about. Now, they have given this other relevant information. Now, the first thing what I did was I wanted to find out what the questions were, which I have got. And you also have got, right? Similar things. The timing is important, right? The reason for the timing maybe is because of the exposure, currency exposure, right? Now, what should we be looking at? Now, they've spoken about the fees, and they're also talking about forecasts. And when you are writing, now I'm going to talk about, well, what sort of a thing is this? It is an investment, correct? So with an investment, I'm looking at a surface model, right? Then I'm also looking at stakeholders, right? Who are the key stakeholders? Right. Now, surface model stakeholders, then we're also looking at critiquing the NPV and the numbers, basically, and assumptions, right? That's what we need to think about, isn't it? And then we look at risks. What do you think the risks are? Any ideas?
Reputational risk in this case. Reputational risk in this case.
Exactly, right? Reputational. So actually, you can have, would it be operational risks? Would it be strategic risks? Right?
I think it will be, first of all, it can have a financial risk as well, if you have to make the payment in a foreign currency. And
yeah.
so from the investment point of view.
Financial risks.
and strategic as well. If there is any negative publicity with this pop singer associated,
Yeah.
people might love him, people might not be loving him at all. So
Yes.
that is one thing.
If you remember, I think Michael Jackson and Pepsi, right? Some time ago, many years ago, there was, there were issues. And then again, you talk about Tiger Woods, and some of the sponsors dropped him as well, right?
Yeah.
When there were scandals. Now, that's actually a financial risk. A strategic risk, and it has financial implications as well. So, we are also looking at the contracts, right? The contract with this star, right? So,
Yep.
basically, you can see I'm looking at first what questions are posed to me. Then I'm looking at, okay, these are the questions. So evaluate the financial aspects. Then we talk about, okay, how many points I can talk about NPV, right? Because they're asking financial aspects, the cash flows, the expenses, right? Then why didn't they take the initial investment, right? Then there is a 1 million to be given without any questions, right? Why? Because even whether we go ahead with this discussion or not, well, they might not, you have to give this 1 million and that's about it. So that's a big question mark. Level of fees. What can we talk about the level of fees? Can you give me something there? Do you think it's reasonable? What do you think? Murali, what's your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think as per the opinion of the marketing director, it is a bit generous. Whatever they are asking for, 50 million is the amount that the agent is asking for, but the marketing director still feels like even $20 million is very generous.
Yes, needs to be
So I think they
negotiated.
are asking.
KPIs linked to fees. We're asking the thoughts, isn't it? KPIs linked to fees. What else can you write about?
And they're asking for the launch, and there is some mention about launch of Billy Brown themed products twice a year.
Yes.
Over the period of the contract.
Yes.
So
Now-
what is the expected sales out of?
Yeah. Linked to expected sales.
Yeah.
Then we are also looking at exit clauses and fees.
And additional marketing investment that we need to make.
So why did you link it with fees?
Now, yeah, if
Should
I
we
consider
include
the,
it?
Yeah.
Or no? No, because we are talking about the fees, right? Here, I'm talking about fees.
Yeah. Then yeah, no need to include. I will.
Right. So you can see how I'm trying to force you to think on certain lines, right? Now, first I looked at evaluation. How many points have I got? You can see I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Here I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I was able to do this because I am putting these headings, right? If I didn't put these headings, I will be talking about NPV for 45 minutes. Before long, my time's gone, right? By you doing this exercise, now suddenly you're able to focus very clearly. The more points you have, the better it is. Put short points first, then elaborate, right? Then go on to elaborate. Timing of the payments. Why am I bothered with that? Why should I be bothered with this?
It will affect our cash flow.
So, What should we write? Cash flow, methods of funding. What else? Currency exposure. Not sure. We're not told in what currency we have to pay this guy. Maybe in our unseen material they might say, okay, well, they've said in the contract we have to pay him in a different currency than what we've got currently, right? Currency exposure is also something that we may have to think of. What fees to consider at what time to pay, similar to this, right? What other fees should we consider, right? What other fees? Sensitivity on financial proposals. What does that mean? Any idea? So should we use...
Okay, so probably I guess the company may be a listed company and this may be a price sensitive information, so to say.
So should we talk about the SAFES there? Right? Again, business and ethics, right? Talk about, how the celebrity will behave, and, then we talk about stakeholders, right? Then sensitivity on financial proposal. Should we talk about NPV, right? So does that make sense to you guys? How we can answer a question? Any comments?
Anju, this needs to be elaborated in 60 minutes, right?
Correct. So the first thing is I'm putting an answer plan together, right? Now in your answer itself, you can write these things down very quickly. Okay, you need to have focus view of what questions they're asking, and then how many points can you talk about each of these questions, right? How many points can you add? And that's what we did here. Any other questions here?
Anju, in case like, for example, you talked about currency exposure where nothing is mentioned there. Can we assume that...
No, I just put in there. Okay, so I'm saying if there is a currency exposure, if there is something in the unseen material, right? If there isn't, we are assuming that the currency is the same currency. And you can see, you can also mention it, right? Any assumption that you're making, do mention it. You say we're not considering the currency exposure because it's not stated in the contract, and we will pay it in our own currency, home currency, right? It might be that these guys will have a celebrity to promote the theme park in Middle East, or the theme park, the new theme park they're opening. So then if that's the case, they may hire a celebrity from that region, and then the currency exposure will play a part. Any questions? Did it help you in evaluating and basically help you in answering and structuring an answer?
Yeah, definitely. One thing,
Yes.
one thing which I wanted to ask you, is it good in the exams to identify as much issues which we can, or like from different angles? Like in this answer, we mentioned the KPIs, then we mentioned from the contract point of view as well, then the currency exposure. I know these are all the relevant ones, but I'm just asking that if we can, the maximum number we can identify is good.
So what I would suggest is put about 4 points each. You see, if these are the questions asked, So at about 4 points, because I mean, if you go to look for points, there is n number of points, right? You can come up
Yeah.
with. So you shouldn't be spending a lot of time on evaluating of new marketing proposals when they've also asked you to evaluate on the financial aspects
Okay.
and the level of fees, right? So
Yeah.
you need to strike a balance and say, right, they're asking about 5 questions here. I'm going to put like 4 points each. These are the 4 points I'm going to put, right? So just go on putting the 4 points, and then you'll have that structured way of handling.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
Because I mean, this is it's a thing that a lot of people struggle, and how to. It's not that they don't know the answer like what we did before. I mean, the options, it's very easy to choose the option, but then how do you structure it? Okay, so I want to now go through a couple of topics with you, and that is, one thing is GRI. Does anybody know what GRI is? And if so, if you can explain it to me.
Global reporting. I don't know what the I stand for, initiative or something. GRI. Is it some?
Yeah,
Is it
that's
like
correct,
it's a form of a standardized reporting structures which are being followed nowadays for different sectors or different industries. Like this is what I normally have an idea of it. So
Okay.
not a very detailed knowledge which I have, but so this is what I know.
Right. So why do you think they have this?
For the ease of comparison, basically across the different companies at different locations or different countries or different areas. So it's more like we have the IFRS. So it's a reporting structure, a reporting platform. And earlier we used to have the different gaps for different countries. Now we have the IFRS. So that we can have a comparison and we can basically compare apple with apple. And so this is overall the prime purpose, to have a standardization and what needs to be disclosed as a minimum, rather than few companies disclosing some things which they like and not disclosing other things which they don't like. So just to standardize the whole process and have some comparability.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I think Anju, GRI helps the organizations to report the impact on the general environment, on the society on the society, the effect on the people and the society, and also I think it views profit as a different alternative term rather than the one that is normally used as an accounting profit. So yeah.
Right. So let us say what this GRI story is all about. Right. Let me share the screen with you and say what it is all about. Now, the index follows. This is from Disney, right? GRI reporting. I'm just reading here. A reporting framework is generally accepted framework for reporting on an organization's economic, environment, and social performance, right? It is designed for use by organizations of any size, sector, or location. Contains general and sector-specific content that has been agreed upon by a wide range of stakeholders around the world to be generally applicable for reporting an organization's sustainability performance. So why do organizations go on this GRI reporting? It's because nowadays the stakeholders basically are forcing organizations to think about not only the profitability, right, but how is the profitability achieved. And the GRI index, in this case, if I can enlarge this full screen, let us see what it'll look like. Yeah, that's better. So we're looking at different aspects and the layers in an organization, right? We're peeling off the layers basically to see how has this organization achieved this profitability? In achieving the profitability, how has it linked to the society? What have they contributed to the society, right? The environment. And you can see in this case, they've looked at the organizational profile, right? They look at different indexes, and they actually link it to certain reports, whether it's annual reports or other published reports, to showcase this is what we are doing and this is how we are measuring ourselves. And if they do comply with it, the status, it's shown very clearly, yes, I'm meeting it, tick in the box. In certain cases, they are not meeting it, either they're meeting it partially or it's not reported, but it's reflected in this particular report. So any stakeholder looking at Disney and saying, well, they have made a massive amount of profits, but what sort of a company is it? You're able to understand the company, how they actually look at and treat the stakeholders, the stakeholder engagement. You can see the economic performance indicators, right? Then they look at some other factors. The market presence, if you can see very clearly, it's not reported. So this will be some of the KPIs that they need to report in the coming years, right? Environmental performance indicators, they're looking at emission targets, water targets, waste targets, right? Product footprint targets. All of them they are reporting, and it's reported in this form. We've got separate either on the web or reports that's linked to this main report. Okay, so it gives a very comprehensive view of a company. Traditionally, we would have seen just the financial statements, which is one-sided, isn't it? Now you see reports like this, which provides a multidimensional view of the company. Any views on this? Any ideas?
Has this been made mandatory through some legislation?
No,
or
it's not made mandatory, no. Now, what do you think the challenges would be with this, implementing this?
There will be higher level of reporting requirements.
Sorry?
There will be higher level of reporting requirements, in the sense
Yes.
you need to measure several aspects which you were not measuring earlier.
Mm-hmm. So
And
what
then
are the
I think
challenges?
the challenge is that, first of all, whether we have the infrastructure and whether we have the systems to gather all this information.
Yes.
Because in case we don't have that system, let's say we don't have a very detailed ERP system, then we need to upgrade our system and make an investment in that.
Mm-hmm.
It can have it can be beneficial in a way that it will show us that we are a company who are more open and more compliant,
Mm-hmm.
and which can give us a good outlook in the market
Yes.
from the shareholders' perspective, as well as from dealing with the banks and other companies and other right groups and these things. But then again, we have to look at the cost benefit analysis of switching to it, because it is not mandatory at the moment, and it's more of a like voluntarily where we can go there, but then we need to look at the cost benefit analysis.
Right, okay. So one of the things that we need to be cognizant of is, how do we record this information, right? We should have the proper systems to record it. And you can see there are various systems that this company, Disney, they're using. So whether it is the existing systems, so even the existing systems, what we can do is ensure that we record these key aspects, right? Now, if you're talking about as suppliers, we need to ensure that the supplier code of conduct is there. That is the fundamental thing. So in that, have we included measurements of this, right? The supplier audits do we carry out? Then where do we record this information? Okay, how do we evaluate suppliers? Now all this needs to be captured in a system. Is it there? Okay, even your current systems, what we need to see is the current systems, can it cope and record some of the information that is required for GRI? It very well might be able to do that, but you may have to do some investigations, you may have to do some investment in your current system to be able to capture this information. So that is one thing, but most importantly, this comes from top down. So the senior management needs to believe in this and drive the behavior and the culture, right? Without that, nothing will happen. That's very important. It has its definitely it has its merits, but again, this is something where things can go very expensive. I think what you mentioned is also, think of the cost benefit, but also it does have its benefits certainly, but you should be very clear on the KPIs. You should agree with the stakeholders. These are the KPIs. How do you record them? How do you publish them? Okay. Any more questions on this?
Anju, do we also need to mention about the investment that needs to be made on people if we want to bring in this kind of a reporting?
In what sense? People in what sense?
The training aspects which are involved, the change in behavior.
Yes. So if you are, in this case, we can say that I think it's mentioned in your case study where the company is, reports are prepared in a manner so that it complies with GRI, right? So, but if we are going into different geographic locations, we also need to ensure that those locations comply to this kind of reporting. So like you quite correctly said, we'll have to do the training aspects of it, the change management, right? Because you're bringing in something new and we need to include that. Right. So I do have some articles. It's just a matter of go through them, briefly, just to get an understanding what is GRI, how it is implemented in our organization, but what if we have to implement it somewhere else? Okay. Let me look at another area that I wanted to talk to you about. Right. One other area that I want to talk to you about is evaluation of a company. Right. So today, I think you guys were there when Sandy described that. How do you evaluate a company? Can somebody talk to me about that? How do you evaluate the company?
Actually, the most
what I heard today. The most basic thing to do in the evaluation, whenever the evaluation has to be done, is through the discounted cash flow model. It's the most commonly used and straightforward one, and easy to explain as well. So that's the way we can do it. Unless and until we have the information for comparable companies who are of the similar size and similar nature. Here we are listed in a listed entity. So if we have a listed entity of the similar nature, similar size, we can make a comparison and then maybe adjust the valuation. But the most commonly one which is used is the discounted cash flow one.
Right.
So in that we need to see what discount factor we need to use. maybe if it is only for a certain project, or are we going to use it for the adjusted one for the company as a whole? These things are the ones which come into play.
Right. So basically, if we are, let's say another company is trying to acquire us, or one way is how do we advise our institutional shareholders, so that's one angle that can be questioned. Because if you are looking at us, we are a company that's listed in the stock exchange, correct? So we have the share price. It's already there. So the question is, whatever the evaluation, whichever way they ask you, is it listed or non-listed, right? So if it's a listed company, how would we evaluate that company? How do we value that company? Well, in this case, it's easy because we have a share price, right? So in order for someone to acquire, it has to be, you need to provide a premium, correct? And you can also look at the dividend discounting model. That's one of the things that he looked at. And again, if you're looking at a non-listed company, you will be looking at a proxy company similar to that. Okay, there's a very interesting article that I have put for you. Please read that, because it gives you some insight, because they talk about it's about media company evaluation. I'm going to share this with you. It's in the articles. Now, why media? This was written in 2013, okay? But the principles don't change. Why return of capital led to media stocks boom? Why media companies deploy cash to drive shareholder returns, okay? So, the problem here is, when you look at Disney, they've got so many things working for them. So it's the movies, it's the theme parks, it's the hotels, the cruises, all these things, right? So if you're trying to compare us with Disney, it's not correct, because what they have there is a lot of things which we don't have. Then we need to separate out the theme parks. Okay, that's one of the things that they talk about. Cash is king. So looking at, with a strong operating performance and valuable assets, media companies have been able to generate robust free cash flows. Okay, so they talk about a little bit of that, the free cash flows. And does the free cash flow drives returns, right? Time Warner and CBS have returned 40 to 60 and 65%. CBS, Disney, Time Warner are members of Power Shares Dynamic Media, right? So there is quite a bit of information here. You can see it's not a very long thing, long article. You can read it. It is there in the Dropbox under articles, the folder articles, and in that you will see media company valuation. Right? I would like you to read this because it gives you some good insight. Okay. Any other questions on this?
Yes, Andrew, if the company has decline in revenues or decline in profit or dividends, what is the right method to evaluate? Is it net assets or what?
Sorry, you got to speak up a bit louder.
If the company is showing,
a
profit and dividends,
sorry, you're breaking up. If the company is showing decrease in revenue and dividends, if you can type your question, please. Let us read.
No,
If you're able to type it, because then I can see what it is, because you're not clear. It's very soft. So if the company is showing decline in profit, what is the best method to evaluate? Right? Now, profit is declining. What about your share price? Because share price, if you are a listed company, you're looking at the share price as well, right? Because you can have lower profits, but if your share price is high, that means the investors are quite confident, yeah. And there might be various reasons that your profits are low. Let's say you're building a couple of parks in different parts of the world, or you're going in for a heavy investment in virtual reality, and you have communicated this to your investors, and you're not giving dividends, right? You state very clearly this aspect, and you're saying, well, I'm going to be providing you, my market capitalization is going to increase, plus my profitability is going to increase in the future, right? So it depends on the communication, and then if the share price is increased based on those, you need to actually look at your share price very clearly and see, what is the confidence level of your shareholders. Yeah. But if it's declining in all aspects, should I use the net assets plus premium? Yeah, you can look at the net assets plus premium. Yes. Yes. So another one is corporate governance. Now, I just want to, there was something else on corporate governance that I want to share with you. So the reason why I'm looking at this corporate governance bit quite a bit is because in your pre-scene there is a lot, there is quite a bit which does not show as if they are practicing good corporate governance, right? That is a bit concerning. Why do you think I say this? Any ideas? Any ideas? I've got something else for you. Let me share that. I'm going to stop sharing for a little while. Can you tell me why I say that the corporate governance is a concern? Usman?
Yeah, okay. First of all, what I have seen in the case study, in the remunerations section, for the remuneration part, there's no involvement of shareholders, and then there are a few, I think we discussed it yesterday as well, there are a few balloon payments which are coming in there. So their remuneration or their benefits are not in line with the achievement of company objectives or the group objectives, in line with the shareholder expectations. So that is one thing. Then secondly, there's another part with this matrix sort of structure,
correct,
which is there. So there's a bit of a confusion on that. To be honest with you, I wanted to ask you about it from the corporate governance point of view. Is the segregation of duties, is that the issue with such a structure, or is like from like how it can go wrong there. So these are the two things which I see there in there. Other than that, like the there's an equal number of the NEDs and the executive directors, which is fine. I think it was something which I noted down. Maybe it will come back to my mind. I will let you know. But these are the
Right.
things which so far comes to mind.
Okay. So on corporate governance, right? We are looking at UK's corporate governance, that code, and there is very clear guidance on what we should be doing, the committees that we should have, the audit committees, then the executive and non-executive directors, right? This it's a key. Then we look at, why was it, if you remember, Cadbury Committee, Greenbury Committee, and Humble Committee, these are some of the committees that was formed in the 1990s. And then they looked at the best practices, directors' remuneration, right? The clear guidance is given to companies on how to behave, right? And how to become a good corporate citizen. Now, in the Cadbury Committee, these are some of the key recommendations, right? Independent non-executive directors, the board should contain. The nomination committee, right? The service contracts of executive directors should be limited to 3 years unless approved by shareholders. You see a lot of involvement in the shareholders as well here, which I don't know whether it is not clearly explicitly stated there. Okay. The audit committee, consisting of mostly non-executive directors, should monitor the finances of the company. Is that so in our case, or is there a question mark? Right? These you need to figure out. And these are some of the directors, their roles. What is the role? Are they performing this role? Are they really doing these activities? Is something that you need to consider as well, right? Then you look at the NEDs. What should the NEDs do? The role is strategy, scrutiny, risk management, board personnel. They will steer the company in an unbiased fashion, right? That's what they're there for. But in our case, who are our NEDs? Have you got people who can be biased, right? And who can actually not provide that, who will not provide that unbiased opinion? Have you got people like that?
Yeah, I think we have in this case study, there are NEDs who have been linked with this business before,
Exactly.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing in a way, but but this can affect their independence.
Yes.
So yeah, there are a few which are totally from different backgrounds, so they're not linked with the people in the industry, but some have been working in this sector, the theme parks and entertainment,
Yes.
for a long time.
Yeah.
So they will definitely have links, and independence
Exactly.
can come into question. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a very good point where you said, people are not, they're not, they might be biased in their opinion because they've worked there for a very long time. There are positives and negatives there. The negatives are, what is a NED supposed to do, right? They're supposed to provide that unbiased opinion. Will this person be able to do that? Is a question mark, right? So Greenbury Committee talks about remuneration, focuses on remuneration a lot, long-term incentives. So what about in our case? There is a question mark there as well. So there is very clear guidance on the remuneration principles, the committees, and how we should be giving incentive payments to our directors. Okay. So I think you should look into that because these are quite important topics to note and to say, because we have certain things about our remuneration which is not all that great, right? Because we don't have much information related to those incentives, so that is a question mark in my mind. So there are a few other committees that I described, but the top 3 key things that you need to bear in mind. Any other questions here?
Is this available on the Dropbox, the slides
I
which are
believe
there on
it
the
is
screen at the moment?
available. Let me have a look at it. If not, I will include it right away. Okay. So if it's not, I will include corporate governance. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, I think it's not included there.
Okay,
It's there
I
as
will.
part of the overall material, but not as the.
Okay.
this one.
Okay.
Are the answers to all the questions in the Dropbox?
No, I have not included the answers deliberately because I was waiting for some people to provide answers, but they have not. Right? So I was waiting to see who's going to provide answers, and because actually, to be honest, it doesn't help you if you just read my answer.
Absolutely.
Right, it will not take you anywhere. I mean, you saw that when we were doing the questions, how you guys were struggling. It's not possible, right? You have to do your own answers. Now let me read some of the questions that you asked me yesterday, and to see if we have answered, right? Business valuation. Walid had asked about business valuation. I think we've answered that, the business valuation, right? Then I think Usman, there was a question on profitable venture, right? Usman, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. There's one more question. I don't know whether I mentioned it yesterday.
Right.
This matrix thing with the structure, the matrix. So can you just briefly?
Yeah. So the
let
matrix
us know?
structure is a very confusing, actually, right? Because that can create a lot of issues. Now, if I look at that matrix structure, let me pull it up. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. Right, let me share my screen with you. Right. So if I look at my structure, tell me, what do you see as one of the big issues here? We have a CEO, then we have the finance director, marketing, human resources, then we've got the guys in operation, Europe, Middle East, and rest of the world. Okay, so what would be the issues that can come up? Can you think of any?
Clarity. It's unclear who's reporting to whom, and like how they are interacting with each other. So it's more like who's gonna take the responsibility for what.
Correct.
I know that they are there for some particular purpose, as their designations can show, but still, like in case where there's an interaction between the two departments, who's gonna be responsible, who's gonna lead it, and who's gonna follow whom. So maybe that's some confusion.
Yeah, so if you look at Marina Liu, who's responsible for HR, Human Resources Director from an enterprise perspective, and then if you look at Mary, who will look at operations, and it includes HR, right, in that area. And Abdullah's as well, he will be involved in the Middle Eastern operations and the HR aspects of it. So it is very difficult, because if Marina comes up with a strategy as one strategy, actually that might not be applicable for everybody, right? And she is not hands-on operational in these areas, and these guys know what's going on in this from an operational perspective, right? So there might be clashes due to that between these ones and the HR person, right? Because what they look at, and since they know what's going on the ground, that would be completely different to that of what Marina has in mind, right? So there might be a lot of trade unions here, right? And whereas in this case, I'm just saying there might not be. Let's say this park is in Dubai, right, or in UAE, and there might not be any trade unions, right? So you have to deal with these two in a very different sense, without having a one size fits all kind of attitude, right? Similar things will go into finance and marketing as well. And another thing that may happen is actually the head office charges getting charged into these areas, and then their performance evaluated based on the profitability of that area, which also includes as head office charges, right? So that may also cause friction and problems. Okay. Any other things that questions that you've got?
It's fine with this one, with the matrix. It's fine now. Thank you.
Yeah. It is a very difficult thing. I mean, you know how difficult it is when you have when you have a line manager that you report to, and then you report on a couple of projects to other managers, right? It's a very difficult thing, because to prioritize as well as competing priorities. Yeah. So that's about, let me go through this list. Any other? How to deal with a strike? What do you guys think? How to deal with a strike? How would you deal in that situation? Any ideas?
I think, Anju, you need to have a proper policy within the company regarding how do we deal with these unforeseen circumstances, and who will be the contact point in terms of dealing with the trade unions, dealing with the government. What will be the press releases? What will be the PR communications? Who
Correct.
will be managing?
So what you mentioned just now is who are the key stakeholders in Mandela's matrix, right?
Yeah.
That is one of the key things. Now, a strike is taking place, and you will need to understand who are the key stakeholders and what is the impact. So then again, immediately you will also look at the risk. Correct? The risk of, because you need to find out who is going on strike. It can be the operators of the rides, or it could be some other people, right? It may vary. So you need to find out who is going on who is on strike, how do we address that situation, what are the risks involved, right? So it's not only the shareholders, the risks play a big role as well.
Yep.
Yeah. What else?
Now, after identifying the risk, I think we need to find effective ways, or we need to suggest effective ways of mitigating that risk as well. And in this sense, if there is a strike, how are we going to manage the operations?
Yes.
Or how do we ensure the continuity of the operations?
Exactly.
If at all that is possible, yeah.
Yes, that's a very good thing, because in every so I think one of you mentioned we need to consider look at ways of mitigating, and it's business continuity planning basically. So you need to do this activity prior to you facing a strike, not just at that time, right? So business continuity planning is something that you can stress upon and say, these are things that you need to consider, and if in the event something like this happens, you would know what to do. Is it that you hire certain, do you get people from other parks in your other parks to come in, to fly in and help you out during this period, right? How do you run certain rides with the skeleton staff? Can you engage your supplier to work with you during this time, right? Do you have an agreement like that? So that's another way that you can mitigate. Yeah.
Is it something like crisis management committee or something like
Yes. So we discussed about business continuity plan is one thing, but crisis management is a different story, right? I think that's what Ayanti mentioned in the morning. There could be some incident that takes place, right? How do you manage during that time? Right.
So crisis is more like crisis committee, something for which is a bit more radical.
Correct.
And this,
Correct.
Okay. And this
say for
one,
example,
like the strikes are like expected ones.
Yes. Say for example, some attack happens. You got lots of people in this park, right? This is very, very normal. See what happened in that airport, Belgium, right? So immediately you need to, that committee needs to be there, and it works like clockwork, right? They have to perform, they do training, but when it happens, when actually an incident happens, they need to go on clockwork. This is what's going on. It's like a military fashion they will work. Yeah. So that is a separate thing. Now this, what you mentioned, is business continuity planning when it comes to something like a strike, failure of a ride. Okay, what do you do? How do you handle it? Any other questions before we close? It's only the three of us remaining now.
Anju.
Yes.
Are there any questions expected out of transfer pricing? I think we operate in the Middle East, we operate in the rest of Europe, and we have plans of operations in Far East also.
Correct.
So do you expect any questions to come out of?
So transfer pricing is, so what is the principle of transfer pricing? Basically, there is an ethical aspect to it as well. So companies may try to reduce their profitability, right, by charging certain high tax areas with a lot of expenses. And then, if it's a country like Middle East, like in the UAE, where we don't get taxed, you kind of show a very big profit. Now, the thing is, it's not an ethical thing to do, right? So that the ethical aspect needs to be discussed as well. And companies do get audited, and they, if they are found, there are companies who are found using unreasonable transfer pricing rates, and they will be fined. So if you are transferring huge amounts of head office charges to the UK, which is unreasonable, the UK, the tax authorities, when they audit, they will fine you for that.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And Anju, just one more thing. I saw in the articles one of the write-ups on Lego's loyalty program.
Correct.
So, or the Merlin Group's loyalty program.
Yes.
So, is that something to be looked out into, considering the fact that we have been in the business for quite long, and we are looking at improving the customer value?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely loyalty programs. Why do we create loyalty programs in the first place? Why do you think?
To ensure that the customer sticks on with us,
Mm-hmm.
and
So,
and
for
improve
example, let's say,
improve the customer value.
right. So, say for example, have you subscribed to any loyalty programs?
Yeah.
Right. Give me one.
The airline, both the Skywards and the Etihad Guest.
Right, okay. So let's talk about Skywards, right? By you subscribing, each time that you fly, you collect points,
Yeah.
right? Plus, they also linked it with Emirates NBD, right? They're saying they will give you points, correct?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what happens is, by you linking with Emirates NBD, so basically the airline will have a connection with Emirates NBD as well, right? And sharing the information and finding more about you. So with the points, what's happening is I'm getting more customer data, insight into your spending habits, what you're doing.
Yep.
Okay, so with that information I can do a lot of things, right? So I'm looking at, let's say you're spending quite a bit on let's say you're traveling, and I will see it's kind of business travel, right? It's all business travel. And then you are thinking of traveling on personal travel, and your business travel, you're flying business class, and you said, okay, fine, I'm going on holiday with my family, and then Skywards might upgrade you because they know that you are flying, on holiday. It's not through your company, right? That kind of information is there. So by them giving you business class, suddenly your loyalty moves more towards that particular airline, isn't it? Because you know, you don't have to even ask, they will give you.
Got
Right.
it.
Yeah, so that is actually a huge thing for companies. At the same time, there could be a lot of fraud as well in this, right? Because miles, the Skyward miles it's like money, correct? So you got to be very, very secure. You got to secure the data, because imagine somebody accessing this Skyward program, in any airline for that matter, or any loyalty program. You can take that money, so to speak, the points from one person and put it to another person, transfer it to another person. So data security becomes extremely important as well.
Got it.
Any other questions? All ready for the exam?
Yes, sir.
What about you, Usman? Any other questions from you before you close for the day?
I know we are already over
No,
time
that's
now.
fine.
Other question I had actually written something. Just
So if you do remember anything, just email me as well. That's fine. I'll try to respond to you, or you can, another fastest way is WhatsApp me and I'll respond to you.